Hi, it's Terry. I'm going to walk you through the birth and postpartum doula application packet for certification with DONA International. This information pertains to the April 2025 packet release. The first thing you're going to do is start a folder for yourself where you're keeping all of your documents and paperwork. You're going to take your certificate of completion from the workshop and add that into your packet as item number 1. You'll have 3 years from the last day of your workshop to complete and send in that packet for review by the certification review team at DONA. Make sure that you registered both your birth and postpartum doula workshops. We did that during the training. If you didn't send that in, didn't click update on that, it will not populate the application processing fee for you in the boutique. So you'll need that done before you try to purchase the certification application processing fee. Now let's look at the checklist that's in your packet. It's another way to try to stay organized is to make sure that as you go through everything, you're checking them off as you're done. And then at the end, when you're compiling your packet materials, make sure they're in the order specified on this checklist. Having things out of order will slow down your reviewer and also create the possibility that you'll have missed something or they'll be missing something. In the packet, there's also longer descriptions of each of the requirements. So if you forget anything, make sure to go back there to find the answers. There's also an FAQ at the back of the document. I encourage you to become a member of DONA International now, but you will have to be a member and have current membership when you certify within DONA International. Don't forget to use that workshop coupon code for $30 off and include your receipt for membership as item number 2. There's some other coursework for folks, but in my courses, we've already completed the childbirth education and lactation support education requirement, so you don't have to add anything extra to your packet. It's already specified on your workshop certificate. You will need to do the racial equities and inequities webinar. Remember, that's about 2 hours. It's on elevate@dona.org. Just log in there and find the certification requirements. Find that webinar, register for it, complete the webinar, and then you'll find your certificate of completion in your dashboard under transcripts. Download that certificate of completion and add that into your packet as item number 3. We did some reading during the workshop. We read the Standards of Practice and Code of Ethics, and on your own, you'll read the birth doula's role in perinatal care and the postpartum doula role in perinatal care. Those can be found in your manual. When you are signing your application, the affidavit page, you have a place where it's noted that when you sign that piece of paper, that you are attesting that you have read those. There's also some longer reading to do. Everybody will read The Birth Partner, and then you will choose one book each from groups A through G. And in G, you can go off list, remember, and choose something that's not in the list or something what was in a different category in the list for your group G. And then you're going to write 3 to 5 sentences of your key takeaways. Remember, it's not a book report. Talk about what you found interesting, what you might take into your practice, and how you might use these books to support your clients. Type those up and then include them in your packet as item number 4. There's also that self-assessment questionnaire. So on a separate sheet of paper, make sure that you're answering all of those. Some of them you'll need to go back to your manual and read an article or 2 or find some more information there. That will be packet item number 5. Don't forget to use your community resource list as a place to start with your networking. You're going to need one resource in each of the 12 required categories. Make sure that it's clear to your reviewer which categories are being covered. So whether you use a spreadsheet or a bullet point list, make sure those resources are falling into each category and that overall you have 25 resources. There's an example of what that might look like on a spreadsheet. And you can choose different subcategories, but you need to have each of those required categories. Now let's talk about your qualifying support experiences. You'll need to support 3 clients through birth and postpartum. They could be the same 3 clients receiving birth and postpartum support, or you could mix it up. There are a few things that count towards a qualifying client. First, it must occur after your workshop has completed. Your support in labor must be continuous by or before the onset of established labor, or at a minimum by 6 centimeters of dilation on through to the delivery and 30 minutes of the immediate postpartum. You can have one virtual support experience, but that must fulfill that same qualification and that you are providing support by phone or video. If you're having text support, that does not count as a virtual support experience. There's no requirement to have any minimum number of vaginal deliveries or intrapartum cesarean surgical births. However, if you have a client who's having a scheduled cesarean, there are some additional criteria. One, you can only use one scheduled cesarean support, and it must be that you arrive with your clients at the hospital while they're waiting to go into surgery. You don't have to be in the OR, but you do need to still be able to provide that immediate postpartum support of at least 30 minutes. Altogether, you're going to add up your birth support experiences, and that must total 15 hours or more. So you could have 3 clients that receive 5 hours of labor support each, one who gets 22 hours, one who gets 7, one who gets 15, as long as it's a combined 15 hours of support. You cannot pad your support hours by adding in extra postpartum time for the birth doula certification. For your postpartum clients, again, it has to happen after the workshop, and that time starts after the baby's born and could proceed up to 12 weeks of postpartum. But remember, I'm encouraging you to get in your hours in those first 2 weeks so that you're getting your client off to the best possible start. Each of your clients must receive a minimum of 3 visits and a minimum of 12 hours each. So that could be 3 4-hour visits, 4 3-hour visits, 2 6-hour visits, but each client must get a minimum of 12 hours and a minimum of 3 visits. Those visits should be happening during daytime hours. At least 8 of them must be between the hours of 8 a.m. and 10 p.m. At least 2 of your clients must be either lactating and giving their human milk to their babies or trying to during your support time. In order to document your client experiences, you're going to have your clients each sign a confidentiality release. And then you'll need an evaluation of support filled out by your client for both birth and postpartum, and an evaluation of support by an observer, either the client's family, friend, healthcare staff, case manager, somebody who was there and present while you were providing support and can fill that out for you. For your postpartum clients, it's possible that you have a solo by choice or by circumstance client. You may have 2 of those who doesn't have another person who could fill that out for you. But ideally, you're still finding somebody, a neighbor, anyone who came over while you were there and saw your support of them. And then you will fill out your support record sheet summaries. So there's that client confidentiality release. Make sure that you're using the DONA one that clears for your clients, clear for your client that you are providing some information about your support to DONA. You'll also need that evaluation from the client around their birth support. Also, again, use the DONA forms, an evaluation of support from the observer in the labor part, postpartum client filling out that evaluation, and then a supporting adult of your postpartum client. And then we have the support record sheets where you'll have information about the client's history, newborn summary, postpartum support details, and a self-reflection. I'll just point out some key areas here. The first page is their profile and history. The second has a question about your prenatal contact. If you didn't have any prenatal contact, we still want you to include something here. What would you have done if you had contact with them before they were in labor? Now, there's a question here about early labor or pre-surgery contact. What did you do to offer emotional, physical, or informational support during that time? And again, if you didn't have contact in that time, make sure to add something there for if you had been. The next page has some more medical information. If you didn't collect that, that's okay. Just put in a note. But certainly if your client had any cervical exams, you'd like to document those here. And then there's some information about baby, perhaps some health concerns for baby. And then it's moving on to you, your notes and observations. So first we have your support during the second phase of the first stage of labor, that is active labor. What were your client's main concerns or desires? What were some of the clinical events? What were 3 things that you observed about your client's emotional journey and what you did to suggest to support them in that time, as well as about their physical journey? Now remember, this is your place to shine. Make sure that your reviewer knows your critical thinking skills and that you know how to provide doula support. Don't be afraid to add pages if you need to make sure that your reviewer has a good picture of what that was like. Then there's more on the second stage and third and fourth stage and lactation. And then a review of how you advocated for your client, how you interacted with their support people, and what you learned from the experience. If you have a clinical background, we'd like to know how you kind of remove that hat and where you identified some areas for growth for yourself and your plan for getting more information on that. And how did you take care of you? Now we're moving into the postpartum profile. We want to know what your client's top 2 priorities were at the start of your relationship, some information about the newborn and your contact with them. And then how did you provide the NEAR principles? Remember, nurture, educate, assess, and refer around their first priority and their second priority. And what ongoing support did you provide for their family in that time? Did you identify other priorities? And what else came up? We want to know a couple of key events in that recovery and their emotional journey and how that progressed, and their physical journey as well. We want to know how you fostered your client's maximum self-determination, how you helped them to process the birth story, and how did you help them to identify help and support in their area? Next, we want you to discuss how you fostered your client's maximum self-determination, how you helped them to process the birth story and find resources in their area, and also about their lactation journey. How did you provide support there? How did you provide support for their family, other children, other adults in the home, and then reviewing yourself and your support. How did you differentiate between a postpartum doula, newborn care specialist, night nanny, nurse, or housekeeper? What did you learn from the experience? What are your goals for improving that? And did you identify your own biases or set boundaries for yourself? If so, how did you do that? All right, that's our record sheets. Next, we're going to look at your final steps. Packet item number 10 will be your receipt for the application processing fees. At this moment in time, you'll need to purchase them separately for the birth doula certification and your postpartum certification, even if you're turning in this singular packet. So to do that, you're going to log in at DONA.org. Go to your portal page and under My Actions, find Certification Applications, Extensions, and Renewals. First, you're going to click on Browse under Birth Doula Certification. When that window opens, find the application processing fee, put it in your cart. Then come back and click Browse under Postpartum Doula Certification. Find those fees, put them in your cart, complete the purchase. DONA will then send you a receipt. You're going to include that receipt as item number 10. About 30 to 45 minutes after you've done that, you'll get a follow-up email that has a link for where to turn in your application. We'll see that in just a second. Next, we want to fill out the application. Make sure to sign and date that. Make sure that if you want to be listed on the DONA directory, that you've ticked that box and that you've put in the name you'd like to have on your badge that DONA sends you, as well as the name you'd like to have on your certificate. If ever your email, phone number in particular change between when you turn in this application and when you hear from your packet reviewer, please update DONA as soon as you can. Not being able to contact you is one of the prime reasons that people get delays in their certification. So this application page is the final item in your packet, and then you're going to combine everything to a singular PDF file. You're going to upload that file to the link that was emailed to you after you got your receipt, and then you're going to celebrate. The next thing that's going to happen is that the home office is going to contact you and let you know that we've received your packet. If you don't hear from them, please do check in within a few weeks just to make sure that they did get it. And they'll assign you a reviewer. That reviewer is also going to reach out to you. And they are predominantly volunteer, so they're not using a DONA.org email address. So make sure that you're checking the subject titles on your emails and responding to anything pertaining to your certification. Let's troubleshoot for a second and go back to this application processing fee. If it does not show up for you in the boutique, it could be that you did not register your workshop, either birth or postpartum, or that your membership lapsed or expired, or that your workshop lapsed or expired. Remember, that's only good for 3 years. All right, go out there, get certified. Don't forget to come to our monthly office hours to ask questions and connect with the certification team at DONA. You can also come to my office hours if you need help and support. And the quick quiz: how do you get into the certification candidate community at connect.dona.org? Don't forget to register that workshop.